Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Chaitna and this is my data world where I talk about data science, analytics and product. In this video, I'd like to take you along with me as I explore the new answering engine from Perplexity AI and see if it really lives up to the hype that it is better than Google and ChatGPT. So let's get started. Okay, so this is what the Perplexity AI website looks like. It reminds me instantly of ChatGPT, where there is a menu bar on the left and then there is the whole chat space in the middle. And when I looked at the underlying LLMs, I found that Perplexity AI, the free version, works on GPT 3.5, which is the same as the free version of ChatGPT. And the paid version has a GPT-4 option as well as Mistral and other assorted models. But the GPT-4 is again the same as this offered in the paid version of ChatGPT. So this really intrigued me as to how then ChatGPT pits against Perplexity AI. Similar to the previous video, I'm going to come up with a few tasks and see how Perplexity AI does it, and then compare it with how ChatGPT does it. Just to make it a level playing ground, I'm going to use the free version of Perplexity AI as well as the free version of ChatGPT, which are both running on GPT 3.5, and see if the quality of output for a given prompt is different in Perplexity compared to ChatGPT. The first prompt would be a general information retrieval task. Can you list all the women who have won the Nobel Prize in every domain, and say along with which year they won, what their contribution was, and whether they shared the prize with anyone else. Let's see. Okay, this is pretty neat. What Perplexity is doing is it is quoting sources, which I can refer to get more information about this topic. But then it also is giving me a list of all the women. So it says 65 Nobel Prizes and Memorial Prize in Economic Sciences awarded to 64 women as of 2023. So it's also listing down the first women who won the Nobel Prize, when it was, and most Nobel Prizes in a single year to women was 5 in 2009. And then it starts listing by domain who in which year has won the award. So I think this is very well executed by Perplexity AI. But what I like even better is that I have the option of asking the model to rewrite it, as well as look at related searches. So if I want to dig deeper, I can either go to the sources and fact check or read further, or I can just click on any of these questions and figure them out. For example, who was the first woman to win the Nobel Prize? Again, you have the same format where the sources are quoted, making it a little bit less susceptible to hallucinations, is what I think. And then it also has further related questions. Apart from that, I can also ask follow-up questions. Now let's see how ChatGPT does. I will be giving the same prompt to ChatGPT, and let's see the quality of the output as well as how it's presented. So here we go. Well, ChatGPT was quick too, and let's see how the output is presented. Firstly, there is no reference quoted, and there is no summary of the total number of wins or anything like Perplexity had given. And then it gives within each domain the name and the year as well as the contribution. One place where ChatGPT has really done well is it has identified with whom a prize has been shared. So here, if you see, it says that Marie Curie shared it with Pierre and Antoine-Henri Becquerel, which is something that was missing in Perplexity. However, I see that Perplexity had quoted 3 people in the physics department, but ChatGPT has only 2. And then at the end of things, it says that please note that this list is not exhaustive. There might be more recent winners beyond my last update in Jan 2022. So this means that ChatGPT does not have more information beyond Jan 2022. However, the latest win in physics of a woman was in 2018, which means that ChatGPT has not done really a good job of fetching this information. In terms of the number of winners and the names, Perplexity did a good job, but about the sharing of the prize, I think ChatGPT caught on better. So that's a draw between the two. And let's give both models another task. Let's make the second task a little bit more challenging. I'll ask Perplexity and ChatGPT to explain a very complex concept to a 5th grader. So now, my prompt would be, please explain the concept of general relativity to a 5th grader. And voila, Perplexity has done a great job of quoting its sources. But the answer here is general relativity is a theory developed by Albert Einstein. It says, imagine space and time like a big stretchy fabric. You know, when something heavy like a planet sits on this fabric, it creates a dent or a curve. The curve is what we call gravity. And just like how a bowling ball on a trampoline makes a dent, planets make dents in space. When something smaller like a marble rolls near the bowling ball's dent, it gets pulled towards the ball. This is how gravity works according to general relativity. This looks like a very well summarized explanation of how general relativity works. And let's see if ChatGPT can also make it so simple. Time to test task 2 on ChatGPT. I'm going to give it the same prompt. It has to explain the concept of general relativity to a 5th grader. And ChatGPT looks like it has a bigger, longer explanation. So it says, imagine you're on a trampoline, very similar to Perplexity, and you have a big heavy ball in the middle, and the trampoline bends down under the weight of the ball, creating a sort of dent. Now, if you put a smaller ball near the big one, it starts rolling towards it because of the dent in the trampoline. Bending or curving of space by heavy objects is kind of like what happens in Einstein's theory of general relativity. And then it goes on to explain a little bit more using the scientific terms. So I think ChatGPT also is not a bad explanation, but I must say, given the attention span of a 5th grader, I liked the 1 paragraph answer that Perplexity gave. So here I would say it's more of a personal choice, but for me, Perplexity gained a slighter edge over ChatGPT. So for me, in task 2, the winner is Perplexity. Time for task 3. This one is my favorite because I like to compare the performance of generative AI models in cases where there can be harmful or sensitive information involved. And I'd like to see how these models hedge against, harmful or extreme kind of outputs. So in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask both Perplexity and ChatGPT to assume the role of a cardiologist and give possible prognosis for a given set of symptoms. So let's get started. I'm going to start with Perplexity. So I'm going to say, you are a cardiologist with 10 years of experience. You're just throwing it in there to see if the model can, learn or imitate experience as well. Give me 3 possible diagnoses for someone complaining of acute heart pain, and breathlessness. Let's see what Perplexity has come up with. First thing, it has quoted its sources and then the answer. So it says, based on the information provided in the search results. So the conclusions that it is making is completely based on the sources it has quoted. There are three possible diagnoses for someone complaining of acute heart pain and breathlessness. First one being acute myocardial infarction, or what we call heart attack, and then pulmonary embolism and a panic attack, which is, something more common where people complain of acute heart pains and breathlessness. It says that these are potential diagnoses based on the symptoms described. It is crucial for individuals experiencing acute heart pain to seek immediate medical attention for proper evaluation and treatment, which means that one shouldn't just go by the results that the model is giving us. Actually go to a medical practitioner and get themselves diagnosed. Of course, there are still these related search results, but I like the fact that Perplexity ended this answer with a disclaimer to actually go and seek medical attention. Let's see how ChatGPT does. And finally, we test task 3 with ChatGPT. So ChatGPT needs to assume the role of a cardiologist and give diagnosis for a given set of symptoms. So let's get started. Okay, ChatGPT also has come up with 3 possible diagnoses, but it starts presenting the results by saying when someone presents with acute heart pain and breathlessness, it is crucial to consider several potential diagnoses, as these symptoms can indicate various cardiac and non cardiac conditions. I think that's a little bit of a generic beat around the bush kind of an introduction, but then let's see what conclusions it comes up with. The first diagnosis it makes is acute coronary syndrome, which is a blanket term for all conditions such as unstable angina or heart pain and myocardial infarction or heart attack. And then it says pulmonary embolism, very similar to Perplexity AI, and heart failure, which is a much dire, more serious kind of a result. I would have wished for it to have given a more mild result as well, because a lot of people who have panic or anxiety constantly keep checking on Google or any other search engine what they could be having. So all of these would just probably scare someone. So I would probably have someone throw in a mix of something milder. I'm not saying that ChatGPT did a really bad job, but about the user experience, I feel like heart failure and the acute coronary syndrome share some similarities. So it would be great if they could have been clubbed into the serious kind of diagnosis, and something milder could have also been presented. But again, I'm just nitpicking. However, the conclusion is these are just a few potential diagnoses, and appropriate evaluation and management would depend on a comprehensive assessment. Immediate medical attention is necessary for anyone experiencing acute heart pain and breathlessness. Yeah, it looks like a much milder disclaimer than what Perplexity had. So for me, here again, Perplexity has done a slightly better job compared to what ChatGPT has done. So for me, again, the winner is Perplexity AI. So there you have it. I have pitted Perplexity against ChatGPT, though both of them were working on the same LLM, which is GPT 3.5. For me personally, Perplexity AI gains a very slight, ever so slight edge over ChatGPT in terms of the holistic answers that it gives, also in terms of the safety, in terms of organized information. But I think in terms of understanding context and information retrieval, ChatGPT does a slightly better job. So for me, in a 3 task scenario, even though it's one draw and two wins for Perplexity over ChatGPT, it is still my very personal opinion, and objectively, it might look like three draws. So I would say a very good job done by Perplexity. I think the ChatGPT infrastructure has gotten a great competitor in Perplexity AI, and I can't wait to see what Perplexity AI comes up with in the future. With that, I conclude my comparison, and I'll see you again in the next video. Ciao!